Today, we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to be doing our Star Wars tier list of everything that I think Star Wars is. All the shows that are canon Star Wars. I'll mention the Tartakovsky ones. We're not going to mention, like, Ewoks or droids or anything like that. We're not going to do any of those. It's just going to be the big ones, the ones everyone kind of knows. We're going to start it out. It's S, A, B, C, D, never watched in this tier list, as you can see. There's the whole list, starting from A New Hope up to the Acolyte. It's missing Skeleton Crew, which we'll mention at the end of the video, don't worry. But we're going to start off with the never watched tier, because there's 3 things in here I've never watched. Starting with Young Jedi Adventures, never watched it. Tales of the Empire, watched the first episode, didn't watch it. That was only a week ago, though, so I might end up watching it soon. And Star Wars Resistance, I could care less about. I just never bothered to watch that. Anyway, that is the never watched tier. That's enough. We're going to start from A New Hope to the Acolyte, like I said. Starting with A New Hope, that is S tier. That is an S tier movie, one of the greatest movies in movie history. It's one of the greatest movies in cinematic history. It's a trend-setting movie. It's one of the greatest things ever. Some of the best effects for the time. It's a great movie. I watched it last night, actually, and it's still really great. The only thing I hate is all those CGI additions that they eventually did, which, it's whatever. But it's still a great movie. It's one of the best movies I think ever made in history. Again, it's just an amazing movie. Everything holds up. The acting's a bit spotty at points, but that's mostly because other than like Harrison Ford and like the older characters, sure, but the main characters being Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher's Luke and Leia, they're like brand new to acting, I think, at that point. So it's like they're a bit spottier. So that's what it is. Leia sometimes has a British accent, which never happens again, luckily. So that's good. But yeah, that's that. And then up next is Empire, which we are doing the thing where the thing in front is in front of it. Just to note it, Empire is the top. Empire is number 1, my favorite Star Wars movie. It is better than A New Hope in almost every way. It increases the universe. It does all that. The acting is much better. There's a lot of cool things that happens. I just don't think you can beat this movie. It's just a great movie. And once again, it's one of the few things that when people mention it, it's one of the few sequels that's better than the original. I firmly believe that. I think Empire is phenomenal. I can hear people say if A New Hope's the best. I can understand it. I really can. They're really close. But my opinion, Empire is better. I've always liked Empire more. That's just me, though. That's whatever. Next up, though, we have Return of the Jedi, which is A tier. It is worse. It is a worse movie, in my opinion. Now, it's not catastrophically worse. It's like, comparatively. For a final movie, it just seems like not enough happens. Seems like they rehash a lot. So to start with, the Jabba's Palace stuff, it takes a long time. It's really slow, and it's really just them breaking Han out and kind of get introduced to these characters, which, again, Jabba the Hutt makes more sense now because they added that one scene to A New Hope, but it was never there originally. He's just kind of casually mentioned in A New Hope, and then he shows up. And that's it. And then that whole thing happens. The middle of the movie, I barely remember. It's like they go back to the ship. They get everything ready. They go into Endor because they found out about the Death Star 2s. What are many Bothans? I don't know. But that's besides the point. They go to Endor. That whole thing happens. Then it gets to the whole ending part where there's 3 parts going on with Lando and the Millennium Falcon. The ground troops taking down the shield generator on the moon. And then Luke is fighting Vader and Palpatine. So, pretty good. I mean, it's a good movie. It's just slightly worse, in my opinion. That's it. It's A tier. It's still great. Here's where I'm going to get really destroyed, probably. Phantom Menace at D tier. Why am I putting Phantom Menace D tier? I think this movie is getting grossly overrated along with the entirety of the prequels. We'll talk about it as we go. Phantom Menace sucks. I almost fell asleep watching it. The only part of this movie that's even close to redeemable, in my opinion, is the ending. The ending fight with Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Maul is great, but everything else in this movie is just so meh. The pod race is fun, but I wish there was a score over it. It's silent, and I hate that. Then you got the whole thing of how the movie flows. It just doesn't flow great. It seems like the parts where they should spend some time, they don't spend enough time, and then the parts that they should probably go right through, they just keep going with, and it's just not great. Like, there's parts of this movie that should be a lot different, and it's apparently there's like a 6-hour cutout there somewhere that never got released to the public. Apparently that one was great. But it just seems like there's a lot missing from this movie. Genuinely, and honestly, if any of the prequels, you could have cut this one. I think you could have cut this one and started at episode 2. I think they could have done it, personally. There's a lot of stuff here, obviously. Maybe do some flashbacks or something, but, like, this just wasn't important enough to me. It really wasn't. We then have, next up, Attack of the Clones, C tier. Why do I put Attack of the Clones at C tier? It's better. The actual movie, it's way more enjoyable than Phantom Menace. Way more fun to watch. The Obi-Wan's plot line is great, going to Kamino and all that. Wonderful plot. Anakin and Padme's thing is, I don't care for it. Count Dooku, I mean, he's cool, I guess, as a villain. He doesn't do much, though. Same thing like with Darth Maul. Darth Maul doesn't do anything. Realistically, Newt Gunray is the main villain of the Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones, though, I mean, it's fine. But I just don't have any, like, great things to say for it. Like, the acting's really shoddy. Hayden Christensen is not good in this movie. He is not good. Ewan McGregor's good. Natalie Portman just always seems to do whatever. She's just monotone throughout most of it. There's some good parts. There's some bad parts. Again, you could try to make it whatever. But I see people saying this is, like, a great movie, too. And it's not. It's not a great movie. It's a fun movie, mind you, but it's not a great movie. It's fun, though. I mean, I still enjoy watching it. It's just not, like... It's not up here. It's not S or A tier. It's towards the bottom, in my opinion. This one's really going to get me destroyed online, probably, which is Revenge of the Sith in A tier. Now, I watched this movie when it came out in theaters in April. I watched it, so it's very fresh on the mind. This movie has a lot of problems, and I feel like nobody talks about them because they're so involved with the beginning and then the ending parts, right? Everything else sucks. The acting in this movie is bad. Hayden Christensen is better, but he's still not good. Natalie Portman does not improve, and Ewan McGregor's Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor's, like, he got the whole thing on his back. Another one that sucks, Samuel Jackson sucks, man. He sucks in these movies. It's like he doesn't know how to speak. Palpatine's just funny in this movie, so there's that. There's some good scenes, mind you. The Opera House scene is amazing. The little, like, quiet moment where Anakin's in the council room and he's kind of, like, crying and it has the score going. That's great. Utapau with Obi-Wan and General Grievous is fun. I think that's fun. The beginning is amazing. I love the beginning of this movie where they go to rescue the Chancellor. I think that is the best part of the entire movie, other than maybe the ending fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan. The music, again, honestly, and I'm going to say it, the music carries the prequels outright. The music is so good in the prequels. It is amazing in the prequels. But, in my opinion, it's just not nearly as good as everyone seems to think it is. I just don't think it's as good as it. Everyone says this could be the best Star Wars movie. Is it good? Yes. But is it the best thing ever? No, it's still very, very flawed. It's still a flawed thing, but people act like it's perfect. It's not perfect. Even the originals aren't perfect, obviously. But it's just, there's a lot of issues with it, and I can't. A part of me wants to put it S, but I'm not. And again, the front thing works, so it's going at the top of A for the moment. I'm pretty sure it'll probably stay there. But again, I did used to have it S, but after watching it recently, it kind of went down. It really did. Next up is Clone Wars, S tier. Another one that you may be able to argue A, but I'm not gonna, because the Clone Wars has a lot of content. The first and second seasons are not great. There's some parts in there that are good, mind you. There's a couple episodes that I do quite like from those seasons. But, and this is the but, it's just not as good as it gets towards the later parts. After those first two seasons, it gets great. The Clone Wars has some of the best stories in Star Wars. Anything to do with Mandalore and the Clone Wars is amazing, usually. Umbara arc, the Fives finding out about Order 66, the return of Maul, all that stuff is really good. This has a lot of characters introduced. Obviously, Ahsoka is introduced in this series. It does so much justice to the relationship of Anakin and Obi-Wan, and it really does fix Revenge of the Sith, because without the Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith is not nearly as impactful. I'm just going to say it. It is not. Without the Clone Wars, it is not impactful. It just happens. And I still think Anakin still turns way too quick. I know the seeds are planted or whatever, but the way he goes about it, he literally just had to wait 2 seconds. It's still flawed in that case. It still doesn't fix it, but I still think that it's still pretty solid. Next up for B tier, we have Star Wars Rebels. It's fine. It's perfectly mid-Star Wars, in my opinion. There's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad. First season of Rebels, I hate. It's not good, it's boring. But after that, I think it's really solid. I genuinely think it's great. There's good parts of Season 2, there's bad parts. The ending of Season 2 at the Sith Temple is phenomenal. That is really good Star Wars. They do a lot with Ahsoka in this series again. Season 3 has a lot of improvements that introduces Thrawn as well, which is great. Season 4 has some fun stuff like the World Between Worlds and everything like that. There's good to it. There's also just some bad. Kanan Jarrus, Caleb Doom, one of the best Star Wars characters going, in my opinion. We're going to get a little bit more of the rest of the Ghost crew, though. The worst out of these characters, spoiler alert, because I'm doing Week of Rebellion, which happens to be the Rebels crew, is probably Zeb. But that's that. I think it's perfectly B. I think it's perfectly neutral. I don't think it's bad. Here's one that's going to maybe make some people mad. Maybe. Force Awakens is a B. It goes above. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Right now. Force Awakens is a better movie than Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace. Easily. I know it's a rehash of the of A New Hope. I know. But, and this is the but, it still has a lot of good ideas. It's a good jumping off point. It really is. It is a great movie, and I think people overhate this movie. This movie is a good movie. It's a good movie. It really is. It's overhated. Way too overhated. And I think people are just being dumb against The Force Awakens. There's not really many critiques about The Force Awakens. I thought The Force Awakens was great. Every time I watch it, I think it's a great movie. Usually. It kind of slips and falls and then comes back. If you don't watch it for a while, it's good. If you keep watching it repetitively, it's going to get worse slightly. But I still think it's a great movie. It's going in B tier. No matter what, it's going in B tier. It is just a fine movie. Rogue One, A tier. People would fight for S. I'm putting it A because the first couple parts of the movie kind of iffy. Beginning of the movie, you jump between like a couple planets. I watched this very recently after Andor finished. I went right into Rogue One as soon as I finished the finale of Andor. Andor really does improve this movie, though. It does. It gives you a little bit more knowledge of what's going on, what's happening. But again, this movie it's a great movie. The last third of it, though, where they're on Scarif, is phenomenal. Some of the best Star Wars. No lightsabers throughout the majority of the movie. It's great. I love the fact that it's just regular warfare. That's what I want out of Star Wars, not just lightsabers. There's more parts to Star Wars than lightsabers. That's what I want to see. That's what I want, is less lightsabers sometimes. And Andor kind of proves that you don't need lightsabers to succeed. We'll get to Andor, though. We'll get to it. The Last Jedi. Here we go. Light the world on fire with that one. The Last Jedi and Attack of the Clones, they're interchangeable to me, honestly. They're very interchangeable. I don't care which one goes above which. In my opinion, they swap pretty regularly. They're both problematic. They're both not great. But both have good aspects, and I feel like nobody acknowledges it. The beginning of Last Jedi, actually pretty good. I love the bombing run and the attack on the cruiser. I love that part of the movie. I think that's good. Then we get to the other parts of the movie. Space Mary Poppins Leia, what an absolute travesty. Should have just let her die there, I think, honestly. Or shouldn't have done it at all. Because that ultimately led to the unfortunate passing of Carrie Fisher And that kind of screwed your movies going onward by keeping her alive after that point. I'm not going to lie to you. Anyway, even after that, we have Canto Bite, which, oh dear God, that's awful. Finn's whole plot line in this movie, they waste Finn. Finn in The Force Awakens has such a good chance to be a great character. An ex-stormtrooper turned good guy? That's something new. Guess what? They waste him entirely. He should have been the main character. I firmly believe it. I think it would have been way cooler if the Jedi character had have been the guy who is in the First Order and then proceeds to just switch up. I think that would have been so much cooler. But nope, they didn't do that. Why would they? Anyway, Rey and Kylo's thing. I actually like Rey and Kylo's dynamic in this. I really do. I think it's kind of cool. I like when they come together and fight. Again, the throne room scene, terrible choreography. It's terrible. It looks nice, though, so I'll give it that. But after that Canto Bite bit, it actually gets really good. I actually like the second half of this movie a lot. The battle on Crate is phenomenal. This is the best looking Star Wars movie by a mile and a half. This one is directed really well. It's one of the best looking movies it is the best looking Star Wars movie. It is the best one. There's so many stunning shots in this movie. The entirety of Crate is beautiful. Even that hyperspace jump through the Star Destroyer, even though it breaks canon, I know, it still looks really cool. It really does. But as far as it goes, it's fine. You know, it's a little overhated. Luke Skywalker, I guess we can't go without touching on Luke Skywalker, can we? Why did he try to assassinate his nephew who turned to the dark side? He did the same thing as his father, realistically, with that one, which is he thought he seen something happen, but then he ends up being the cause of what happens. You know what I mean? With Anakin and Revenge of the Sith, when he sees Padme dying, he's the one who causes it. He's the one who causes this in the whole chain event. Luke proceeds to try to kill Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, at the point where he's like, oh, he's going to become evil. He then forces him to become evil, and then he then destroys the entirety of what Luke created over the 30-year span. Yeah. That's what happens. And Luke becomes a miserable hermit because of it. And yeah, I think that decision would weigh on Luke Skywalker, because it was a lapse of judgment that cost him everything. That is my take on that. That is my take. Say what you will. I'm explaining The Last Jedi. And I think the other thing with The Last Jedi, we'll talk about it in depth at the end, but my whole thoughts on all the movie trilogies and everything. After that, we got Solo. Solo's a B-tier movie. It's fun. It's harmless. The only thing it really does that irritates me is how Han Solo got his name. That's about it. It's a fun movie. Otherwise, Alden Ehrenreich does a great job as Han Solo, which many people didn't think he would be a good Han Solo, but I thought he did good. I thought he did real good. I think they could get away with using him again as Han Solo. I kind of wish they would recast again for Luke and Leia and all them. I kind of wish they would, personally, just so we can see more of them in live action. I know we got Luke with CGI face, which we're about to get to, but I just wish they'd do a little bit better. The Mandalorian, A tier. Now, why is The Mandalorian A tier? Because Season 3 exists. Season 3 is what drops the show. It would be S tier otherwise. Season 3 sucks, honestly. There's parts that are good, but there's a lot of parts that are bad. Most of the bad episodes in The Mandalorian happen in Season 3. Season 1 is amazing. Season 2 is a cameo fest, but it's still pretty good, in my opinion, except for Episode 2 in Season 2. That is the worst episode. Maybe. Season 3 has some pretty bad stinkers in there, too. Season 3 could have been improved, though, with a later edition coming up on this list, which we'll discuss. Season 3 just drops this. I think it's a great show otherwise. Again, introduced a lot of characters into live action, like Bo-Katan, Ahsoka. All of those characters got introduced. Boba Fett got brought back to life, and we see Luke again for the first time since Return of the Jedi in live action. So that's cool. But essentially, that's my ranking of The Mandalorian there. Rise of Skywalker, yeah, it's a D-tier movie, but it's going above The Phantom Menace, and people, again, are going to smite me on that one. It's a more fun watch. The movie makes about as much sense as The Phantom Menace. I'm sorry, they both make no sense. Nothing. The plot makes no sense in The Phantom Menace, and the plot makes no sense in The Rise of Skywalker. Somehow, Palpatine returned. We still don't have an answer to that. We really don't. We're kind of getting there, but we still don't have an answer. Why? Fortnite gives us a better explanation than The Phantom Menace, or than the movie itself. I don't know why I said The Phantom Menace, I was just looking at it. But it gives a better explanation. Like, what is going on here? So basically, Palpatine returns. A bunch of stuff happens. They go to a desert planet, find a knife and a thing. Finn's like, I might be Force sensitive. We figured, I guess. That whole thing happens. They go to the Death Star ruins on Andor, find a bunch of ex-stormtroopers like Finn. One of them might be Lando's daughter. Oh yeah, we meet Lando on that random desert planet. Don't forget about that. A bunch of other stuff happens. Ben Solo returns after talking to Force Ghost Han. How did that happen? Anyway, after Force Ghost Han happens, we then get to Exegol, and Rey's on Exegol, and Ben Solo follows her, and he's like, oh, I'm a good guy now. Here's my funny quip. But he just says, ouch. That's his funny quip, by the way. That's his funny thing. And then we get the whole fight with Rey and stuff. Oh yeah, Rey's a Palpatine, by the way, which is just, oh god. That's awful. That is awful. Her being a Palpatine or a Skywalker, she should have just been nobody. She should have just been nobody. Really, she should have been nobody. And then we get to the ending part. Ben Solo steps in with Rey. They fight Palpatine. He sacrifices himself for Rey because Rey died fighting Palpatine. He gives Rey his life essence, and he dies. I think the movie would have been 10 times better if Rey had have stayed dead and he had have lived. He would have had his redemption. I think they should have left him live. But they didn't, and I think it's a mistake because, again, Kylo Ren, best character in the entire sequels. I think everyone pretty much universally acknowledges that. Because Adam Driver is a great actor. I just got to say that. He's a pretty great actor. Although he's been in a lot of odd stuff lately. A lot of odd stuff. But that is besides the point. That's really that. That's my opinion on Rise of Skywalker. It's bad, but I prefer watching it over The Phantom Menace. Bad Batch. That, I think, is a B-tier movie. Or not movie, show. It's fine, but the problem I have with The Bad Batch is I think it should have went longer. For some reason, they decided to end it at, like, was it 4 or 3 they ended it? They could have had another two seasons, at least. There's so many loose ends that never got answered. Like, what's Rex gonna do? How does this whole thing happen? They do, like, a time skip at the end. It's like, they could have done so much more, and they didn't. They just didn't do it. There's not enough things that get answered here. There's a lot of plot lines set up, and it's like, they just don't finish it. It's such a shame, because it's wasted, in my opinion. It's still a good show, but they could have done more, and they just didn't. I never really got the answer to anything. Like, they had the whole cloning. Like, what is Omega? I know she's a clone, but of who? Is she a Jango clone? I don't remember if they answered it still. I don't think they did, because there's another female clone. It's like, what are they doing? Who were the assassin guys? Oh, yeah, they just got killed. Okay. Guess they were no one. I think they're prototype Death Troopers myself. That's my theory, but still. Next up, Book of Boba Fett. This is a firm C tier. This show got ruined by the 2 episodes of The Mandalorian stuck in the middle of it. There was more stuff you could have done. You can't put 2 episodes of a show called Book of Boba Fett and Boba Fett be in it for a collective 5 seconds. You can't do that. He didn't even have a speaking line in those episodes. One episode is the Mandalorian going and getting his ship. The next one is the Mandalorian going and finding Grogu and Luke. What? Put those in Season 3. Season 3 is 10 times better than The Mandalorian. I'm just going to say it, because this caused a whole issue of people that didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, and then they go to watch Season 3 of The Mandalorian, and all of a sudden, Grogu's returned. What was the point? What was the point? It just looks like nothing happened. It ruins that whole part of The Mandalorian by not putting that in there. I just have to say that. They screwed it up. I think they screwed up royally with that when they did that, and I'm glad they've not done it since. So that's good. Next up is Obi-Wan. I think Obi-Wan's B tier. It's fine. There's some cool moments. There's some really bad moments. One episode's completely pointless. The one where they go to the Inquisitor base after Leia gets captured again, after being rescued. It's such a useless episode. But there's cool moments, like when Vader's, like, going into the village and he's killing all of the civilians for, like, no reason, really. People went, he wouldn't do that. It's Darth Vader. He would do that. Come on now. He would do that. It's Darth Vader. He's evil. People act like he's purely good. He's evil. He's really evil. And they need to show that he's really evil. He's a threatening presence. He's one of, like, the scariest things in Star Wars. Not the scariest. One of. But the other part of that is when he finally meets Obi-Wan. He lights the ground on fire and he drags Obi-Wan through it to feel the pain that he put him through. So cool. The final fight, there's some good moments. The fight itself's kind of lame, but that moment when Obi-Wan breaks his helmet and you kind of see Anakin in there and it kind of cuts between Hayden Christensen's voice and James Earl Jones. It's really cool, in my opinion. And then the lightsaber blade shows the blue and then he says, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did," and then it flashes red over his face instead. That was so good. I think there's a lot of good to this series. I think there's a lot of bad, but it's perfectly in the middle, honestly. It's better than the Book of Boba Fett. It really is. Peak is up next. S tier. And not only S tier, I'm putting it in second. I'm not going to lie. Is this recency bias? Maybe. I'm trying to get it there. There we go. Andor was so good. It was so good. It's one of the best things Star Wars has ever done, and it's probably the weirdest thing, too, because when everyone heard the show Andor was announced, nobody was excited. Just about the guy from Rogue One? What? This one forgettable character from Rogue One? What's he doing? Yeah, the show was just amazing. There's so many good moments from this show. So good. It fleshes out everything. It makes the Empire feel like how the Empire is being described. Like, they feel like they're very restrictive. Like, they're just doing things. And we get to see the crimes that they are doing against the people. They're not good. And that is how it should be. The Empire and other people that are fans of the Empire are not the good guys. They were never the good guys. They were always the bad guys. Most of the people in their ranks are just people that need a job. That's the thing to think about. It's the higher-ups are pure evil. They don't care about the people. Look at the Gorman Massacre. That episode, genuinely one of my favorites of episodes of television ever. Episode 8 of Season 2 is phenomenal. Episode 9 is also phenomenal. I think that this whole thing is just a great show. It's one of the best things in Star Wars. And not only is it a good Star Wars show, it's one of the best TV shows I've ever watched. Genuinely. It is a great show. If you've not given it the chance, watch it. And this is a show that I think anyone could watch as well. Just where it's perfectly in Star Wars, where it's before the main parts of the movies. But there's enough Star Wars-y stuff in there that you'd know, but I feel like you can get away with it being like, if you're not a Star Wars fan, you want to watch it, you could. 100%, I feel like you could. Anyway, next up is Tales of the Jedi, which is A tier. There's 6 episodes in Tales of the Jedi, and I think 4 of them are overall great. The Count Dooku episodes are awesome. I love the Count Dooku episodes. It's skyrocketed Count Dooku in, like, my character list. Count Dooku is such a complex character because of those 3 episodes, because you can gradually see him losing his faith in the Jedi in the way that they're falling. He's right. He is right he is completely right. The Jedi were completely wrong. The Jedi were doing everything wrong. Their refusal to acknowledge the Sith, it's all great. The whole thing with Count Dooku was great. I love seeing that arc. It's just an amazing thing. That's it. And then you get the Ahsoka episode. Baby Ahsoka, I don't care. The one Ahsoka episode I like is the one where she's training with the clones. Surely because it shows how she survived Order 66 and why she was ready to be sprayed at by like 10 clones surrounding her on a small space, because she had been training the whole time against the clones in a similar situation. And I think that works. I do. I think that really works, because realistically, why wouldn't she be training to deflect blaster bolts like that? A training droid is not going to be nearly as effective as a living person shooting at you. I know battle droids are not as good, and that is acknowledged. They're not. But if you can deflect shots from what is better than what you're constantly fighting, that's good. That is a great thing. And it clearly worked because she lived Order 66. And then the final episode's whatever, honestly. But I think there's a lot of good in Tales of the Jedi. I think it's good. I just realized Visions isn't here either. Don't know why. Next up is Ahsoka, which honestly, A tier. Again, with the A tier. I'm going to put it A tier. It's a good show, but the only problem with it is you do need to watch Rebels. You really do need to watch Rebels. It's definitely the biggest problem with it, because a lot of people I know that tried to watch it couldn't watch it because they don't know what's going on. It is Rebels Season 5. That's the problem. Yes, the show's about Ahsoka, but a lot of the characters, the main plot of this show is involved with Rebels. You're like, who's Ezra Bridger? If you haven't watched Rebels, who's Ezra? That's the whole plot of the show, is going to find Ezra and stop Thrawn's return. It's like, who are these people? I don't know who they are. Who are they? They're just random, but you need to watch Rebels to understand it all, and that's kind of the problem. You see, that's the thing. It's still a great show. If you've watched all of Star Wars, you're golden. You are golden if you've watched all of Star Wars. If you haven't, yeah, you're kind of just going to be stuck, and you're like, what's going on? Only downfall of it, I still think it's a pretty great show, though, because I have watched Rebels. This one's going to probably kill some people. The Acolyte, I'm putting it in C tier. And I know someone's like, whoa. And you know what? I'm putting it in front of the Book of Boba Fett. This one's going to make people mad again. And this isn't me just being different with this list. This is my personal list of Star Wars. I'm not going to lie. This is 100% my personal list of Star Wars. And this is exactly how I would rank it. This isn't me just being different. This is what I think. I think The Acolyte should have got a season 2. I firmly believe it, because in my opinion, even if a show is bad, unless it is so egregiously bad that it's like, oh, like this is awful. This is truly awful. The Acolyte wasn't truly awful. It wasn't. There was a lot of good in there. I think if a show is bad, I think it should still get a second season. If it doesn't improve, then cancel it. If a show is so awful that everybody completely stops watching it, then you cancel it after one season. But The Acolyte was still good in parts. There was parts that were good. I know a lot of people hate it because it kind of contradicts Anakin Skywalker and his whole existence. Because the main characters, May and Osha, are a divergence in the Force similar to Anakin that was just created. They were created by the Force. That is it. That is why people hate it, by the way. I firmly believe that. Yes, there's some bad acting and stuff in there occasionally. Yes, it's woke, apparently. Oh no, heaven forbid, 2 women are together in space. Oh no. There's some good parts. Again, the whole twins thing is cool. I like how by the end of the series they swap places. May, who was the dark side character, swaps to the light. Osha, who was on the light side, switches to the dark. And then you have, is it Kieran? I don't know how to say the guy's name. The Sith Acolyte guy himself with the cool helmet. He's really cool, and we'll never see him again. We never will. And he was awesome. He was like the best part of the show. We all know he was. The action in the show, actually really good. The lightsaber choreography is the best it's been since The Revenge of the Sith. It really was. Really good. Master Soul, really good character. A conflicted Jedi. He wanted to save these girls from what was a cult because one of them didn't want to stay. One of them wanted to go with him and see the galaxy. He wanted to save those girls, and he's not supposed to have attachments. That's the thing, right? He's not supposed to have attachments to people because he's a Jedi, which is the flaw. There's a lot of things in this series that I think were good, and there's a lot that were bad. But personally, I think it's overhated. I do think that it's not great. Obviously, there's still a lot of things wrong with it. But I think it should have got a season 2 because there was clearly a lot of ideas they wanted to continue with, and we'll never get to see because everybody hated a couple small things more than anything else. That's it. That's my rant on The Acolyte. I've been meaning to do that, by the way. I've been meaning to talk about the Acolyte like that because I genuinely think it's not that bad. It's not that bad. But anyway, we're missing Skeleton Crew, which I'll write in at B. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun show. It's very on its own, solo Star Wars. You could just show that to anyone similar to Andor, I think. You know, you might know it's Star Wars, but maybe not, because there's not really a ton of Star Warsiness in it. There's lightsaber. There is a lightsaber, but that's about it. That's fine. And Tartakovsky Clone Wars is also going to go in B tier. It's good. Anyway, let's just discuss the list real quick and what goes where. So I want to talk about my thing with the sequels, first and foremost, which is why the sequels failed as they did. The Force Awakens, people hated because it was too similar to A New Hope. But The Last Jedi, they then attempted to do something way different. Everyone hated it for being way different. Great. They then made a movie, which was the finale to everything, and tried deleting everything The Last Jedi did when they shouldn't have even tried to do that. They should have never tried to delete what The Last Jedi did. They should have kept running with it. They should have done it. Oh, but it would have ruined Star Wars. At this point, everyone says Star Wars is ruined anyway. There's people that say it's not canon, it's whatever. I just don't care. Honestly, it's canon. It is canon. Say what you want, it is canon. And I just think they're a little overhated. The prequels are way too overhyped at this point. 2 of them are genuinely bad movies. They're kind of enjoyable to just throw on and watch, I guess. But they're still not great movies. They're not. There's a lot of bad parts to the movie. Cringy dialogue. I've seen someone say that it has great dialogue. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There is no good dialogue. Sometimes there is. But Attack of the Clones, I hate sand. It's coarse, rough, and irritating and gets everywhere. Are you kidding me? That's not good dialogue. George Lucas sucks at writing dialogue. Always has, and probably always will. That's just something I have to get off my chest right then and there. Even the original trilogies have bad dialogue at times. We know that. Original trilogy, it'll always be a cinema staple. It is. Return of the Jedi is worse, but again, really great. And then you have all the extras and the shows. The shows don't lose much to me. I still think they're pretty good. Again, none of them ended up in the top other than Andor, which is just amazing. There's still some great aspects. The animation's still pretty great. I mean, there's a lot of good here in Star Wars, a lot of bad. Only 2 D tiers, 4 C tiers, 7 C tier, B tiers, even though there's a couple that aren't in B tier. Like I said, Tartakovsky and Skeleton Crew are B tier, in my opinion. The Tartakovsky Clone Wars. And then A tier, we have 6 things. And then S tier, we have 4 things. I think it's a good list. I do. I think it's a good list. People are going to disagree because I put the prequels low and the sequels high. I know that's what's going to happen. But in my opinion, it's the honest-to-God truth, and I feel like we just need to be a bit more honest here. The prequels are not as good. There's a reason people hate the prequels. For those who don't remember, you probably won't, because a lot of the people that love the prequels are young. I'm only 23. I'm in the era where the prequels were my Star Wars. I was alive for 2 of them being released. Not really. I was born when 1 was released, and then I was 3 when Revenge of the Sith came out. So that's the thing, right? Like, I was a kid watching those movies. And even as a kid, I kind of prefer the originals. Even as a kid. And that still holds strong today. Revenge of the Sith I've always loved, but it is the 3rd best movie. It still, as you can see, ranks as the 3rd best movie. It does. It ranks as the 3rd best movie. If you look at this list, it is the 3rd best movie. But it's way behind the other 2 that are in front of it. So, realistically, this is how my list goes. Genuinely for Star Wars. This is how it goes. And it's my list, my opinion, whatever. You know, tell me yours in the comments or whatever. I know some people probably might hate it for the whole thing I did with the sequels and prequels. Again, that's my opinion. I just think the prequels are overly hyped, and I think the sequels are overly hated. That's it. This is it. This is the list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a long one, But hey, I think this is a pretty solid list. Tell me what you think. This has been Delete, signing out.